Coming up next on Functional Moms Podcast.
What's the difference between chemical and mineral sunscreen?
Physical sunscreen is, you want to think of it like a physical shield that sits on top of the skin that physically reflects UV rays off of the skin. It also keeps your skin cooler as well. Chemical sunscreen actually absorbs into the skin. It's more likely to end up in the bloodstream. And it takes about 15 minutes to work, whereas physical sunscreen works as soon as you put it on. Chemical sunscreen absorbs the rays into the skin and blocks it from getting into the deeper layers of the skin.
Welcome to Functional Moms Podcast, lifestyle medicine for women over 40. Let's age on our own terms. This episode is for you if you're concerned about the toxins in sunscreens. Let's face it, we put this stuff all over our faces and bodies, and as we've learned on Functional Moms Podcast, the chemicals get absorbed right into our bloodstream. Not optimal for anyone, but especially for women trying to balance hormones.
Arielle Moody worked in the beauty industry for her whole career, supporting brands like Smashbox, Dr. Perricone, and Bite Beauty. But when Arielle was pregnant with her first child, she was shocked by how many toxic ingredients were lurking in everyday products. After trying dozens of mineral sunscreens, Arielle was determined to create one that didn't make her immediately want to wash her face and didn't have a white cast on her skin. Thus, Mama Soul was born.
Arielle, thank you so much for coming on Functional Moms Podcast. We would love to start by hearing your story of creating Mama Soul.
Well, let me just say thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. This podcast is very much up my alley. I'm very into natural products. I have a mini podcast of my own and interviewed a functional health medicine doctor. So I am so excited. With that being said, I'll get into how I started Mama Soul. So when I was 5 months pregnant with my first son, I started researching ingredients to avoid when you're pregnant or nursing. And sunscreen was just the most toxic of all the categories. So as you mentioned, I have over 15 years of beauty industry experience. I've worked in product development. I've worked in packaging. I've worked in sustainability. So when I couldn't find what I wanted, I decided to call up a chemist and start one on my own. And within 3 weeks of our launch, we were organically featured on Access Hollywood. And that gave us so much credibility and really validated what we were doing.
Wow.
So we understand that you created it because you were looking something that didn't have toxic ingredients. What kind of toxic ingredients should we be concerned about?
Well, at the time, so in 2017, when I was researching the ingredients to avoid when you're pregnant or nursing, one of the top ones at the time was oxybenzone, which is in about 90% of sunscreens on the market. And oxybenzone has been found in breast milk, causes skin damage, cell damage. It causes skin allergies. It's destroying our coral reefs. So when I saw this, I'm like, why is this in our sunscreens? This is crazy. So that ingredient now is not as prevalent as it was then, but you should still look out for ingredients like octisolate, octinoxate. Any ingredient that's not zinc oxide or titanium dioxide is a chemical sunscreen. And I am absolutely not demonizing chemical sunscreen. I am very much against any fear mongering that goes on around protecting your skin from the sun. So I want you to use whatever it is that you prefer and that you'll use every day. I just want everyone to understand the differences between them and so that they can make an educated choice for themselves on what they want to put on their skin.
What's the difference between chemical and mineral sunscreen?
So it's a great question. And being that I'm in the industry, I assume so many people know, but so few people do know what the actual difference is. So physical sunscreen is, you want to think of it like a physical shield that sits on top of the skin that physically reflects UV rays off of the skin. It also keeps your skin cooler as well. Chemical sunscreen actually absorbs into the skin. It's more likely to end up in the bloodstream. And it takes about 15 minutes to work, whereas physical sunscreen works as soon as you put it on. Chemical sunscreen absorbs the rays into the skin and blocks it from getting into the deeper layers of the skin. And that's the difference.
Wow. Well, I mean, there are a lot of mineral sunscreens on the market right now. So what makes Mama Soul different?
That's a really great question. I get asked that a lot. So number one, we are silicone free. So silicones tend to clog your pores and they are not biodegradable. They're also really hard to create a mineral sunscreen any sunscreen for that matter without silicone, because silicone suspends zinc oxide and it prevents separation. So it's an easy way, a cheaper way to get a stable formula. It took us 5 years to develop our formula. Our entire line is silicone free. I think it's a filler ingredient. It's not nourishing your skin. So we really try to use ingredients that are nourishing to the skin. The other thing that makes us different is the smell. So we use a subtle hint of lavender essential oil. And I'm a busy mom of two. And when I'm getting ready in the morning, I want to take a minute and just take a deep breath before the craziness of my day begins. And so
Yes.
this really allows me to do that. It reminds me to take a deep breath. The other thing is it goes on white so you can see where you apply it and you don't miss a spot, but then it blends in clear. So people don't use enough sunscreen. They put a little dab and they think they're covered. You really have to use 3 finger swipes on your index, your ring finger, and your pointer finger. You should put 3 stripes. That's enough for your face and your neck. A shot glass for your body. So I intentionally designed this to go on white and blend in clear. The other thing is our packaging. So being that I'm sure you guys talk about microplastics on a functional, that's one of the biggest reasons why women's hormones are out of balance. They say about 80% of women's hormones are out of balance due to microplastics. We are using sustainable materials for our packaging. So our face sunscreen is in glass. Our tinted lip oil with SPF is in glass. And our body sunscreen is in a tube, but the tube is actually made of 100% sugarcane. So there's no petrochemicals leaching into the formula.
Very cool. And so I love that you said also that it's not going to turn you white, because so it goes on white, but then it turns clear, because that's been my biggest issue with those sunscreens. And my kids, like, I can never get them to wear the mineral-based sunscreens because they don't want to look like a ghost on the beach.
Right. Mineral sunscreen has evolved tremendously over the years. And so zinc dispersions are completely different than what you remember as a child. So I think if you look for formulas like mine that are more high-end or sold in places like the Four Seasons, Fairmont hotels, high-end spas and resorts, they're not putting white sunscreen on their clients after they give a facial. That's very important after a facial, right, to leave the facial looking like your skin is glowing and not white. So that was a big part of our story and our marketing.
You mentioned before lip oil. Why should women be concerned about their lips and the sun?
The number one reason that your lips start to age, get lines, or dry is because of UV damage. So when you're getting chapped lips, you're starting to see your lips are thinning out. You're starting to see little lines around those lips. It's because of the sun. It's because of the dangerous rays, the aging rays that are hitting your lips. Also, skin cancer can show up anywhere, and lips are not an exception to this rule. So people just forget to apply that, cover that area. I think a big reason why people don't want to put anything on their lips is because they have not found Mama Sol. Because let me tell you why. So Mama Sols are 100% mineral. They're called Liprella. It's 100% mineral tinted lip oil, SPF 20. And we just won 2 national awards for our lip oil. So we just won Best Lip Gloss with SPF from New Beauty, which is one of the top publications in the industry, in the beauty industry. And then we just won Shop Today Award, just voted it Best Tinted Lip Oil like 2 weeks ago. So there's a reason. And it's because not only does it not taste like sunscreen, I think that's a huge reason why people don't like to put things on their lips. Until this formula, I had not found any sunscreen for the lip that didn't make me have a horrible taste in my mouth from the chemicals. And then in addition, we like to think of this as a love child of a lip balm and a lip gloss. So you're getting a lip balm, a lip gloss, and SPF, all 3 in one, and you're getting beautiful color. And even when the color fades, you're still getting this beautiful layer of hydration.
Wow. I love that.
It's true. I don't think about my lips often. Especially when I'm putting on sunscreen, that might not be the first thing. Oh, good. Show us. Yeah.
This is one of the colors.
For people that are watching.
So that's what it looks. There's 2 shades. There's Rise and Shine. So Rise is the one I just put on. That's more of like a toasty nude. And then there's a Shine is more like a soft glowy pink. So people are buying both because both colors are so beautiful and you can wear them every day. They're really just natural looking.
And to your point, you eat that basically, right? Because you're talking, whatever. So how did you come up with ingredients that were safe? Because like you're saying, if you're putting a sunscreen on there, that's chemicals that you're probably ingesting.
Yeah. so we use zinc. So we don't use chemical greens. The zinc we don't use high level either. So it's at 7.5%. We didn't want to do a huge amount of zinc because of that reason. So that's why it's an SPF 20. That in itself should make you feel good. It's a very like low level, but it's of zinc, but it's giving you great protection from the sun. And then we have a lip sole complex. And the lip sole complex is made up of sesame seed oil, which is going to naturally plump the look of your lips. It has sunflower seed oil for hydration and vitamin C and E for soothing and brightening. It also has evening primrose, borage oil, castor seed oil. It is going to leave your lips feeling so good.
Okay, so that's good to know. So it would be safe even if we're eating it.
Yeah.
That's something that's really important that honestly in the past I never really thought about. Now I have to share, I was in CVS over the weekend and I was using I think it's called Yucca app or Yucca, whatever it is. And I was scanning all the sunscreens and literally not one came up as a good choice. They all had bad ingredients. So, and that's kind of concerning because it was a whole aisle I was looking at and all the name brands, like I couldn't even find one. So where do people find your product and how would you rate on one of those scales?
We rate really high on Yucca. Yeah, no, where would we find us? We're found on our website at shopmamasoul.com. And then of course, like I mentioned earlier, we're sold at places like the Four Seasons, Carmel Valley Ranch, Ocean Reef Club in Key Largo, very high-end spas and resorts. But the best way, and we're also just launched, this is actually very aligned with your audience. We just launched on Grove Collaborative, which is like Thrive Market. And they only take clean beauty. They're very, very strict with what ingredients they allow. We pass those strict tests, so that should make you feel great.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
That does make me feel great.
That's good because I was stressing out at CVS. I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, I used to look at it as I live in New Jersey. I don't wear sunscreen every single day. We have a lot of cloudy, rainy days around here. But I will say,
I got to talk to you about that. Okay, keep going.
Okay. All right. But as far as like slathering it all over my body in the summer, I guess I used to think, well, I just do it a couple of weeks out of the year. I'm not slathering it everywhere. So yeah, sometimes I would use the chemical, whatever I could grab at CVS is fine. And I guess it's better than nothing if I'm going to burn.
It's better than nothing.
But the more I think about it and the more we've learned on the show that it really is going right in your bloodstream. And if you're trying to live a clean lifestyle and you're just going to slather that all over, it's kind of concerning. I mean, at least if you're going to be doing it a lot.
Yeah, I have to chime in because for me, I know you guys are saying it's better than nothing, but for me, I'd rather wear nothing. I literally would rather just,
Well, I just interviewed.
I'll sit in the shade or something. I don't know. I get like ever since I've learned about that it goes straight into your bloodstream. It's not passing through your liver where it's kind of, cleaning things out. It's going straight into your bloodstream. And that just kind of, it skeeves me out. So
if you're really concerned about that, then you should choose zinc. Zinc-based sunscreens, very much less likely to end up in the bloodstream and be at very safe levels. It's sitting on top of your skin. It's not absorbing into the skin. Listen, the FDA does tests. They're not going to allow something on the shelf that's going to significantly, affect your health. The levels at which could end up in your bloodstream are very low even with a chemical sunscreen. But if you're very concerned, I highly recommend using a mineral sunscreen. And you got to sometimes just weigh the lesser of two evils, and skin cancer is much worse. And so I interviewed a world-renowned dermatologist and we had this exact discussion where there's fear mongering around putting sunscreen on. And he said, it is so much worse to get skin cancer than the fears that are coming from putting on chemical sunscreen. So if I want to leave anything with your audience, it's to wear sunscreen and to wear honestly and to wear it every day. And I think one of the things that people don't realize is that on cloudy days, up to 80% of UV rays are coming directly to your skin. So
wow.
How come I'm so pale? I walk around in New Jersey. I'm not getting any.
Okay, so UVB rays are the burning rays, right? UVA rays are the longer rays that penetrate, especially on cloudy days. So they're not necessarily going to burn your skin. They're going to create damage, though, on your skin, and you're not even seeing it.
Okay. So now we understand. Because we're always equating, my skin changed color. That means I must have had damage or whatever. I wouldn't be thinking about it if I'm not seeing any change in my skin. So it's like those aging effects that you're talking about.
It's the aging effects, but can also lead to melanoma because you're affecting the cells in the skin. So even sitting near a window 5 minutes a day, like let's just say, let's throw it out there, that accumulative damage is actually extremely detrimental to your skin. That was another thing that I learned when I was speaking with, his name's Dr. Kilgore. And, you don't realize how often you're going out in the sun unprotected. You're going out to take your dog for a walk. And if you do something every day for 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, you're sitting near a window all day, day, whatever it is, you're getting a lot of damage. And so another thing that people don't even realize is when you're sitting in a window seat on an airplane, they did a study that came out that equated an hour of being up in the air by a window seat is equivalent to being in a tanning bed for 30 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
But not if you have the thing down, right?
You have the window down, you're fine. But if you're
Okay, good.
sitting,
That would be me.
I mean, I put the window down too. But for people who don't, that's, you just want to, you don't realize how much just sitting near a window.
I guess you're close to the sun too. I mean, you're up in the
Right.
sky. So,
Exactly.
interesting. Never heard of that. So there is like a whole movement right now, let's be honest, about like pushing back on sunscreen. You need to get sun to get your vitamin D. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, is there a happy medium, or you don't believe in that?
I'm so, these are all the questions that I myself was curious about. And so I asked them myself because I was hearing so much about it as well. And I always in my gut knew that wearing sunscreen was more important, right? That's protecting yourself from skin cancer. You don't want to get skin cancer. Okay. I've talked to women who have it. It is not pretty. You don't want it. So when I asked Dr. Kilgore about this exact question, he said, there are so many other ways to get vitamin D, your food and in supplements. And if you're and this is the other thing, but let's be honest, you're not covering your entire body every time you're out in the sun, right? It really only takes 15 minutes at the high point of the day to get the amount of vitamin D that you need for the whole day. 15 minutes in the sun. Go on a walk for 15 minutes without any sunscreen on if you're really concerned about vitamin D. Otherwise, I take vitamin D supplements. You can get it in your food. So it's just, there's other ways to get it. It's more important that you protect yourself from the sun, from the damaging rays.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I got to say, functional moms are very curious about something. We hear that you are a manifester, and how has manifestation played a role in your entrepreneurial journey and personal life? Do you mind sharing about that?
How has it not? I'll start off by saying this. So I wasn't always everyone's manifesting. You don't even know you're manifesting. Even if it's bad things coming into your, negative things coming into your life, you're manifesting that. So before I even started my business, before I even came up with the idea, I had a psychic reading and she told me, and I knew I was in the process at the time of sketching out business ideas, and I started my career out as a makeup artist. So I thought that it was going to be makeup that I was going to launch. Well, what she said to me was very different. She said, you're going to launch a clean skincare brand. Like, she equated it to the Honest Company. This was a lot, this was in 2016 or 17 when she said this to me. And she said, it's going to be very successful. I see it on Access Hollywood. I see it in all the magazines. She started listing all these things. And of course, Access Hollywood came to life, all of these things. So when this idea did come to me, I felt very aligned. I was like, okay, I'm on the right track. Well, 2 years ago, I was in a little women's circle. It was like a little group that my neighbors all got together, and we had a manifestation expert come and we did a whole workshop together. And that's when I was introduced to manifestation. And the book that I'd recommend anyone is interested in learning more about manifestation, it's called Infinite Possibilities by Mike Dooley. It really explains the basics of manifestation, and it is a great read for those who just want to open up their minds, right? So one of the first things I tested, because this is one of the things he recommends doing, because he actually gives you things that you can practice to try and manifest. So this was last year. We only have been launched for 2 years, and it was right before we launched our body and our lip. So we have face, body, and lip. And I wrote in my journal 3 days in a row, 33 times, I am so grateful for achieving $10,000 in sales. And we were much lower than this. We had only had one product on the market. We were early. And so this would have been a big jump to hit 10,000. So I wrote this, and as you write it as if it's already happened, and then you start really believing it and feeling it. What would you feel if this 10,000, if you made 10,000 in sales? What would that feel like? Right. So you start when you're writing it, you really have to lean into that and feel the feelings. Well, guess what? And this is not a lie. The next month we hit 10,000 in sales. My mind was blown. I was like, oh my God, this works. And what happened is my accounts that I was reaching out to open up just started reaching back out to me without me even following up with them. It would have been weeks had gone by or month gone by. And all of a sudden they're like, we want to place an order. So I almost felt like I was a magnet to attracting all of these things. And so now I have gotten much deeper into this practice of manifestation, and I meditate every single day, every morning, sometimes at night too. And it's really, again, just not focusing so much on the outcome, not focusing on, I need to be in Sephora, I need to be in Ulta, and focusing only on those two things. Instead, I'm visualizing being on the shelves of a retailer. Let's just say that's what I want. I'm focused. And how would that make me feel? Would I feel so proud? I feel so grateful.
Right.
And then you're not limiting the
Right.
possibility of other things that might be better suited for you than Sephora, than Ulta, whatever it is, and attract opportunities that are right for you and that, you might not have had even thought of.
Right. It's like you have like the idea of what you want, but you're also allowing the space for lifelonging the best for you to say, yeah, you want this, but not in Ultra, but in this location. And so it's not like you're just pigeonholed
That's right.
in your own mind.
It's right. It's all about
Yeah.
not focusing on the outcome. It's focusing on the feeling.
Right.
And it sounds like you were taking steps. You were reaching out to these people.
Yes.
You had the seeds planted, and then it came back to you.
You have to take aligned action with what you want in order for things to happen. So I did the steps. I knocked on doors. I went to, the way I got started was literally just going out, making a list of top spas in my area and knocking on doors and bringing in Mama Soul. And that's how we got started. And now our body sunscreen, ever since I started this, manifestation, really amazing things started happening. We won Best Body SPF by Shape Magazine. Harper's Bazaar voted our sunscreen top 10 sunscreen for sensitive skin, and Women's Health Magazine voted it best for dry skin. And then, of course, we just got those lip oil awards. So, that's in 2 years. And that does not happen to early brands that have just launched frequently. And I really do attribute it, of course, to my aligned action, but also to my practice to manifestation, because these are the things that I want.
Yeah, that's super inspiring, Raquel. We might have to manifest a little for functional moms. I like it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're creating a community through Mama Soul. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have somewhat of a mini podcast. It's called the Mama Soul Expert Series, and I interview an expert in wellness every month. And so that's what I was referencing when I interviewed the dermatologist. I interviewed a functional health doctor about hormones, really anything that has to do with wellness, I bring to the forefront. And then we're also hosting events this Saturday on Abbot Kinney in Venice, California. We're hosting a manifestation breathwork sound bath event for our community. So we're trying to give back that way as well.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
I love that. So being mindful of our time today, Arielle, what are 2 simple things that we can do today to choose better sun protection so we are aging strong and beautifully?
Yeah, so I would say this. So we packaged our sunscreen in beautiful packaging so that you would put it on your bathroom counter and be reminded to use it every day. So I would say this, find your sunscreen and keep it on your bathroom counter so that you are reminded to use it every day. That's number 1. And then number 2, do your homework. If you are really concerned about chemicals or any of the detrimental effects that, chemicals can affect, chemical sunscreens or chemical cleaning products or whatever it is, do more work to do that. And I think just knowing that if you look at the back of a bottle and it says zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, that's mineral. Anything else is not. And then I think at least you're educated on what your next steps are.
That's a great point. I think it takes a little work for sure. Sometimes when I look at these labels, I'm like, do I have to be a chemist to understand this? But I think some of those key words are helpful for us. And now I understand the difference between mineral and chemical, because I don't think I really did prior.
But again, I don't want to scare anyone off into using chemical sunscreen. It's seriously, and I want to leave that with your audience. Please use what you enjoy using, because it's more important to protect your skin from the sun than anything else. It really is.
So I'd like everyone to know they can connect with Arielle on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Her handle is @ShopMamaSoul, or visit shopmamasoul.com. And I think you said you have a discount for our listeners, which is so great.
Yeah, so you can use Functional Mama 15 and get 15% off anything on the site.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. And I'm excited to try your sunscreen.
I get you samples right away.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, please do that. Thank you.
We need your support. If you're enjoying the show, follow, like, and subscribe. Thank you for Aging Strong with Functional Moms Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment or review. Email us at info@functionalmoms.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button.